Right now, as you listen these words, trillions of neurons are firing in an intricate dance within your brain, creating the miraculous experience of being conscious. But how does this neural activity transform into your awareness, your thoughts, and your sense of self? This is where the fascinating field of neural correlates of consciousness, NCCs, comes in. The direct links between specific patterns of brain activity and your conscious experiences. Think of it as discovering the individual instruments that create the symphony of your consciousness. Imagine your consciousness as a grand theater production. The neural correlates of consciousness are like all the essential elements that make the show possible. The actors, neurons, the stage, brain regions, the lighting, neural activity patterns, and the coordinated movements, neural synchronization. When all these elements work together perfectly, the magic of conscious experience emerges. Back in the early 1990s, two scientific pioneers, Francis Crick and Christoph Koch, proposed a revolutionary idea that transformed our understanding of consciousness. Instead of viewing consciousness as some ethereal, untouchable phenomenon, they suggested we focus on finding its physical signatures in the brain. This marked the beginning of a scientific revolution in consciousness research. At the heart of this research lies a fascinating discovery. Not all neural activity leads to conscious experience. Your brain is constantly processing vast amounts of information, from your heartbeat to your breathing, from background sounds to peripheral vision. But only a small fraction of this activity reaches your conscious awareness. It's like having multiple TV channels broadcasting simultaneously, but you're only consciously aware of the one you're tuned into. One of the most crucial NCCs resides in what scientists call the thalamocortical system, a complex network involving the thalamus, a central hub in your brain, and the cortex, the wrinkled outer layer. Think of this system as the brain's broadcasting network. When you're conscious, this network maintains a specific pattern of activity, like a perfectly tuned radio signal. When this pattern is disrupted, whether through sleep, anesthesia, or injury, consciousness fades or disappears entirely. But consciousness isn't just about being awake or asleep. Different conscious experiences have their own unique neural signatures. When you see a face, a specific region called the fusiform face area becomes active. When you feel joy, the amygdala and other emotion processing regions show distinct patterns of activity. These content-specific NCCs are like the individual instruments in our consciousness symphony, each contributing its unique part to the overall experience. One of the most striking discoveries came from studying patients with a condition called blind sight. These individuals, despite having damage to their primary visual cortex, can react to visual stimuli without being consciously aware of seeing anything. This phenomenon revealed something crucial about consciousness. It's not enough for the brain to process information. That information needs to be integrated and broadcast in a specific way to become conscious. The timing of conscious experience has also revealed fascinating insights. Scientists have discovered that it takes about 200 to 500 milliseconds for a neural event to become conscious. This delay suggests that consciousness isn't instantaneous. It's more like a carefully orchestrated performance that takes time to unfold. During this brief window, your brain integrates multiple streams of information into a coherent conscious experience. One of the most powerful tools in studying NCCs has been the investigation of binocular rivalry, a phenomenon where each eye is shown a different image, but you consciously perceive only one at a time. This has allowed scientists to keep the physical stimulus constant while consciousness fluctuates, helping to isolate the neural patterns specifically associated with conscious awareness. It's like having a window into the moment-by-moment changes in conscious experience and their corresponding neural activities. Recent research has revealed that NCCs aren't just about which neurons fire, but also about how they fire together. This synchronization, particularly in the gamma frequency range, around 40 Hz, appears to be crucial for conscious experience. It's like an orchestra where individual musicians must play in perfect harmony to create beautiful music. When this neural synchrony is disrupted, conscious experience can become fragmented or disappear entirely. The implications of these discoveries extend far beyond the laboratory. In medicine, understanding NCCs has revolutionized the assessment and treatment of patients with disorders of consciousness. Doctors can now use brain imaging to detect signs of consciousness in patients who can't communicate conventionally, leading to more accurate diagnoses and better treatment decisions. As we delve deeper into this exploration of NCCs, we begin to understand that consciousness isn't located in a single brain region or neural circuit. Instead, it emerges from the coordinated activity of multiple brain networks, each contributing to the rich tapestry of conscious experience. This distributed nature of consciousness explains why it can be both robust and fragile, while damage to single brain regions rarely eliminates consciousness entirely. Disrupting the right patterns of neural activity can profoundly alter or suspend conscious experience. As we venture deeper into understanding the neural correlates of consciousness, NCCs, recent discoveries have unveiled even more fascinating aspects of how our brains create conscious experience. This second part explores cutting-edge research and its profound implications for our understanding of consciousness. One of the most groundbreaking recent discoveries involves a mysterious brain structure called the claustrum, a thin sheet of neurons that some scientists now believe might act as a conductor of consciousness. Think of it as the master control room where different aspects of conscious experience are coordinated and integrated. When researchers electrically stimulated this structure in studies, they could actually switch consciousness on and off, like flipping a light switch. This discovery has led to the intriguing possibility that specific neural circuits might serve as consciousness switches in the brain. The emergence of new research techniques has revealed that NCCs operate at multiple levels simultaneously, like a sophisticated computer network with different layers of processing. At the microscopic level, we have individual neurons and their connections. At the intermediate level, we find neural assemblies and circuits, and at the macro level, we observe large-scale brain networks. All these levels must work together harmoniously to create conscious experience. Perhaps one of the most fascinating recent discoveries involves what scientists call the default mode network, DMN, a collection of brain regions that become particularly active when we're not focused on the external world. Think of it as your brain's screensaver mode. This network appears to be crucial for self-awareness, mind-wandering, and our sense of personal identity. When you're lost in thought or daydreaming, your DMN is likely highly active, creating a different kind of conscious experience than when you're focused on external tasks. Recent research has also revealed the crucial role of prediction in consciousness. Your brain isn't just passively receiving and processing information. It's constantly making predictions about what it expects to experience. These predictions form what scientists call a predictive coding model of consciousness. It's like your brain is running a sophisticated simulation of reality, constantly updating it based on new information. NCCs appear to be intimately involved in this prediction process, helping to create our seamless experience of consciousness. The advent of new technologies like optogenetics, where light-sensitive proteins are used to control specific neurons, has allowed scientists to study NCCs with unprecedented precision. These studies have revealed that consciousness might require specific patterns of neural activity rather than just activity in particular brain regions. It's not just about which parts of the brain are active, but how they're active together. One particularly fascinating phenomenon that scientists have discovered is called ignition, the moment when neural activity crosses a threshold and becomes conscious. Using sophisticated imaging techniques, researchers have observed that conscious perception involves a sudden burst of coordinated neural activity across multiple brain regions, like a chain reaction spreading through the brain. This global workspace activation appears to be a key signature of conscious processing. The study of altered states of consciousness has also provided valuable insights into NCCs. Research on meditation, psychedelic experiences, and other altered states has revealed how different patterns of neural activity correlate with different types of conscious experience. This research is not only helping us understand consciousness better, but also opening new therapeutic possibilities for mental health treatment. Looking toward the future, several exciting research directions are emerging. Scientists are developing new tools to study consciousness in real time, including advanced brain-computer interfaces that might allow direct communication with conscious thoughts. Others are exploring how NCCs develop during childhood or differ in various clinical conditions. The implications of NCC research extend far beyond neuroscience. In artificial intelligence, understanding how biological brains create consciousness is inspiring new approaches to creating more sophisticated AI systems. Some researchers argue that creating truly conscious AI might require replicating the specific neural patterns associated with consciousness in biological brains. Perhaps most intriguingly, research into NCCs is raising profound questions about free will and decision-making. Studies have shown that certain neural activity patterns predictive of decisions can be detected before we're consciously aware of making a choice. This suggests that conscious experience might be more like a sophisticated, after-the-fact narrative than the primary driver of our actions. As we stand at the frontier of consciousness research, the study of NCCs continues to bridge the gap between the physical and subjective aspects of consciousness. Each discovery brings us closer to understanding how 3 pounds of neural tissue creates the rich, subjective experience of being conscious. Yet each answer seems to raise new questions, reminding us that consciousness remains one of the most fascinating and complex phenomena in the known universe. This journey of discovery reminds us that our conscious experience, while deeply personal and subjective, has physical correlates in the incredible neural symphony playing out in our brains. As we continue to unravel these mysteries, we're not just learning about the brain, we're learning about what it means to be conscious, to be aware, to be human. Higher order theory. Picture this: you're sitting in your favorite chair, feeling its soft texture against your skin, while enjoying the gentle warmth of sunlight on your face. But here's the fascinating part. You're not just experiencing these sensations. You're aware that you're experiencing them. This awareness of your own experiences is what philosophers and scientists have been puzzling over for centuries, and it brings us to one of the most compelling theories of consciousness, the higher order theory. In its simplest form, higher order theory suggests that consciousness isn't just about having experiences, it's about having thoughts about those experiences. Think of it like a mental theater with 2 levels. On the first level, your brain processes raw sensations, emotions, and thoughts. But it's the second level, where your mind observes and recognizes these processes, that creates what we call consciousness. Let's use an everyday example to understand this better. When you're driving a familiar route home, you might find yourself arriving at your destination with little memory of the actual journey. Your brain was clearly processing all the necessary information, road signs, traffic signals, other cars, but you weren't consciously aware of it. According to higher order theory, this happened because while your first-order mental states were functioning perfectly, the higher order thoughts about these experiences were absent. This theory was first proposed by philosopher David Rosenthal, who argued that consciousness emerges when we have thoughts about our mental states. It's like having an internal observer who watches and comments on our experiences. But this observer isn't a tiny person in our head. It's a complex network of mental processes that monitor and reflect upon our other mental activities. The beauty of higher-order theory lies in how it explains many puzzling aspects of consciousness. Consider blind sight, a fascinating condition where people who are clinically blind can still react to visual stimuli without conscious awareness. These individuals can catch a ball thrown at them or navigate around obstacles, despite claiming they can't see anything. How is this possible? Higher-order theory suggests that while their first-order visual processing remains intact, they lack the higher-order thoughts that would make these visual experiences conscious. Another compelling example comes from our emotional lives. Have you ever been in a situation where someone points out that you're angry, and only then do you realize that, yes, you are indeed feeling angry? According to higher-order theory, your brain was already processing the emotion, first-order state, but you became conscious of it only when you formed a higher-order thought about that emotional state. The theory also helps explain the difference between human consciousness and simpler forms of awareness in other animals. While many creatures can process sensory information and respond to their environment, humans possess a sophisticated ability to reflect on their mental states. It's like the difference between a security camera that records everything and a security guard who watches the footage and understands what they're seeing. Critics of higher-order theory raise interesting questions. If consciousness requires thoughts about our experiences, what about the consciousness of those thoughts themselves? Do we need an infinite regression of higher and higher-order thoughts? Defenders of the theory argue that the higher-order thoughts themselves don't need to be conscious for consciousness to emerge, just as a spotlight doesn't need to illuminate itself to illuminate other objects. Recent neuroscientific research has provided intriguing support for higher-order theory. Studies have shown that the prefrontal cortex, an area associated with self-reflection and metacognition, plays a crucial role in conscious awareness. When this region is damaged or temporarily disabled, people can still process information, but may lose conscious awareness of their experiences. The implications of higher-order theory extend far beyond academic interest. Understanding consciousness this way could revolutionize our approach to artificial intelligence. Instead of trying to create conscious machines by simply processing information, we might need to build systems capable of forming higher-order representations of their own processes. It's the difference between a computer that processes data and one that knows it's processing data. The theory also has profound implications for understanding altered states of consciousness. During meditation, for instance, practitioners often report a state of pure awareness where the distinction between observer and observed seems to dissolve. Higher-order theory might explain this as a unique state where first-order and higher-order processes align in a particular way, creating a distinctive form of conscious experience. As we drift closer to understanding consciousness, higher-order theory stands as a compelling framework for explaining how our subjective experience emerges from the complex machinery of our brains. It reminds us that consciousness isn't just about what we experience, but about our awareness of those experiences. A beautiful dance between experiencing and knowing that we're experiencing. Our journey through consciousness continues to unfold, and higher-order theory illuminates one possible path toward understanding the greatest mystery of all, how we come to know ourselves as conscious beings in this vast universe. Global workspace theory. Right now, in this very moment, millions of actors are performing in the theater of your mind. The soft whisper of your breathing, the gentle weight of your blanket, a drifting thought about tomorrow, the distant ticking of a clock. All of these sensations are like performers competing for the spotlight of your consciousness. But only one can take center stage at a time. This is the fascinating story of how your mind orchestrates the grandest show on Earth, your conscious experience. In the intricate theater of your brain, a performance more complex than any Broadway show unfolds every second of your existence. Imagine having to direct a play where thousands of actors audition simultaneously, but you can only choose one to step into the spotlight at any moment. This is exactly what your brain does, and it does it with such seamless precision that you've never noticed the magnificent production playing out behind your eyes. 40 years ago, a brilliant psychologist named Bernard Bars peered behind this mental curtain and discovered something remarkable. Your consciousness, he realized, wasn't just a simple spotlight, it was an entire broadcasting system. When a thought or sensation wins the audition and steps into your awareness, it's like that actor's voice suddenly being projected to every corner of a vast amphitheater. Every member of the audience, from your memories to your emotions, from your logical reasoning to your deepest intuitions, receives the performance simultaneously. Let's explore this extraordinary theater through an experience you've surely had. Picture yourself driving home on a familiar route. Your conscious spotlight isn't focused on the actual driving. Those processes are like well-rehearsed stagehands working efficiently in the darkness. Suddenly, a red ball bounces onto the road. In an instant, this new actor seizes the spotlight. The performance is broadcast throughout your mental theater. Your memory reminds you that balls are often followed by running children, your emotions trigger alertness, your motor systems prepare to brake, and your problem-solving areas calculate trajectories. All these responses happen in perfect synchronization thanks to the global broadcast of that single, conscious moment. But here's where the magic deepens. Behind the main stage, in the shadows of your unconscious mind, countless other performances continue. Your brain is monitoring your body temperature, adjusting your posture, processing background sounds, and maintaining your breathing, all without requiring the main spotlight. These unconscious processes are like the essential crew members of a theater, working tirelessly behind the scenes to keep the show running smoothly. The brilliance of global workspace theory lies in explaining why we need consciousness at all. Just as a theater coordinates hundreds of people through announcements over its speaker system, your consciousness broadcasts important information to multiple brain regions simultaneously. When you encounter something novel or important, it takes the spotlight not because it's the only thing happening, but because it needs to be shared with the entire theater of your mind. Consider what happens when you're falling asleep. The usually orderly auditions for your conscious spotlight begin to take surprising turns. Thoughts and sensations that wouldn't normally win the spotlight during wakefulness start taking center stage. The strict director of your attention begins to dream, allowing unusual combinations of actors to perform together. This is why your thoughts become more fluid, more dreamlike as you drift off. Your consciousness theater is transitioning from its daytime performance to its nighttime reverie. The theory also explains those mysterious moments when you drive home and suddenly realize you can't remember the journey. During those automated tasks, your conscious spotlight wasn't needed. The well-trained stagehands handled everything perfectly well in the darkness. But the moment something unexpected happens, the spotlight swings back into action, ready to broadcast important information to all corners of your mental theater. This broadcasting system is what makes human consciousness so remarkable. It allows us to combine different types of information, to be creative, to solve complex problems. When Shakespeare wrote, "All the world's a stage," he didn't know how literally true that was for our consciousness. Every moment of your awareness is indeed a carefully coordinated performance, where millions of potential actors wait in the wings, but only the most relevant take center stage. As you rest here now, become aware of your own mental theater. Notice how thoughts and sensations gracefully step into and out of the spotlight. Observe how some linger in the wings, while others command your full attention. You're witnessing the most sophisticated broadcasting system known to science, your own consciousness, performing its eternal dance of awareness. In this grand theater of your mind, Every moment brings a new scene, every sensation a new possibility, and every thought a new performance. And the most beautiful part, this magnificent show plays on, whether you're watching it or not, orchestrating the symphony of your conscious experience with perfect precision from one moment to the next, from wakefulness to dreams, in an endless dance of awareness. Biocentrism. Biocentrism is a revolutionary theory that challenges the traditional materialistic view of the universe. Proposed by Dr. Robert Lanza, a prominent American scientist and author, biocentrism posits that life and consciousness are not mere byproducts of the physical universe, but are instead the fundamental forces that create reality itself. This theory turns the conventional understanding of the universe on its head, suggesting that the universe exists because of life and consciousness rather than the other way around. The concept of biocentrism stems from Lanza's extensive work in the fields of biology and regenerative medicine. Throughout his career, Lanza has explored the mysteries of life, particularly the ways in which life processes seem to transcend the physical limitations of the material world. Biocentrism arose as a synthesis of his biological expertise and his deep interest in the nature of consciousness, leading to a theory that attempts to unify the two. At its core, biocentrism asserts that the universe cannot be fully understood without considering the role of life and consciousness. According to this theory, space and time are not absolute entities that exist independently of observers. Rather, they are constructs that arise as a result of the way living beings perceive and interact with the world. This idea is reminiscent of the philosophical notion that reality is a mental construct, a concept that has intrigued thinkers for centuries but is now being re-examined in light of modern scientific discoveries. One of the key tenets of biocentrism is that consciousness is the driving force behind the universe's existence. In other words, the universe doesn't exist in a fully formed state out there, but is instead brought into existence by the act of observation. This challenges the traditional view of an objective reality that exists independently of whether or not it is observed. In the biocentric view, the act of observation collapses the wave function of possibilities into a specific, observable reality. Without an observer, there is no definitive reality, only a realm of potential outcomes. Biocentrism draws on principles from quantum mechanics to support this idea. Quantum mechanics, the branch of physics that deals with the behavior of particles on the smallest scales, has long suggested that observation plays a crucial role in determining the state of a system. Experiments such as the double-slit experiment have shown that particles behave differently depending on whether or not they are being observed, leading to the conclusion that consciousness somehow influences physical reality. Lanza takes this concept a step further by proposing that consciousness is not just an influence, but the fundamental basis of reality itself. He argues that life creates the universe rather than the universe creating life. This idea is radical and has sparked considerable debate, particularly because it challenges the materialistic framework that has dominated science for centuries. If biocentrism is correct, it would mean that our understanding of the universe, from the smallest particles to the vastness of space, needs to be reevaluated in light of the primacy of life and consciousness. As we continue to explore biocentrism, we'll delve into the scientific underpinnings of the theory, examining how it interprets space, time, and the universe through the lens of consciousness. We'll also consider the philosophical implications of this theory, particularly how it reshapes our understanding of reality and our place within it. Building on the foundation, we now turn to the scientific aspects of biocentrism, exploring how this theory reinterprets space, time, and the universe through the lens of consciousness. Biocentrism challenges the traditional objective view of reality by proposing that space and time are not independent, absolute constructs, but are instead products of our consciousness. One of the most provocative claims of biocentrism is that space and time are not the fixed, immutable dimensions we typically perceive them to be. Instead, they are constructs that exist only within the context of a conscious observer. According to biocentrism, the universe is like a blank canvas, and it is our consciousness that paints the picture, giving shape to space and time. Without life and consciousness, these dimensions would have no meaning, no substance. They are fundamentally tied to our perceptions. This idea aligns with certain interpretations of quantum mechanics, which suggest that reality is not as solid or as fixed as we might think. In quantum mechanics, particles exist in a state of probability, a superposition of all possible states, until they are observed. It is the act of observation that collapses these probabilities into a single, observable state. This phenomenon has been demonstrated in experiments such as the famous double-slit experiment, where particles behave differently depending on whether they are being observed. Biocentrism takes this concept further by arguing that the universe itself behaves in this way, not just on the quantum level, but across all scales. The theory suggests that just as particles require an observer to determine their state, the universe requires consciousness to give it structure and reality. In this view, the universe is not a vast pre-existing expanse in which life happens to emerge. Rather, the universe comes into being through the interaction of consciousness with the potentiality of space and time. The relationship between consciousness and the physical world is central to biocentrism. According to the theory, consciousness does not arise from physical processes within the brain, as traditional neuroscience suggests. Instead, consciousness is the fundamental reality, and the physical world is a manifestation of this consciousness. This idea challenges the materialist notion that the brain produces consciousness, proposing instead that the brain acts as a receiver or a conduit for consciousness. Much like a television set receives signals and translates them into images and sound. This shift in perspective has profound implications for how we understand the universe and our place within it. If consciousness is fundamental, then the physical world, including space and time, is secondary, a kind of stage set upon which the drama of life unfolds. This challenges the traditional scientific view, which holds that the universe is a vast, empty space governed by the laws of physics, within which life is a rare and incidental occurrence. Biocentrism also offers a new way to think about the origins of the universe. In the conventional Big Bang model, the universe began as a singularity, a point of infinite density and temperature, which expanded to form the cosmos we see today. However, biocentrism suggests that the universe did not begin in the traditional sense. Instead, it emerged in conjunction with consciousness. In this view, the universe is not a pre-existing entity that happened and then life appeared. Rather, the universe and consciousness co-arose, with each shaping and defining the other. Quantum mechanics plays a crucial role in supporting biocentrism's claims. The theory draws on the principle of quantum entanglement, where particles become linked and instantaneously affect each other regardless of distance, to suggest that consciousness is interconnected with the fabric of reality in ways that transcend traditional physical explanations. This interconnection implies that consciousness is not localized to individual organisms, but is a fundamental part of the universe's structure. As we continue to explore biocentrism, the next section will delve into the philosophical implications of this theory, particularly how it redefines concepts like life, death, and the nature of reality. We will also examine the challenges and criticisms that biocentrism faces from the scientific community. Biocentrism, with its bold assertion that life and consciousness are central to the existence of the universe, carries profound philosophical implications. This theory challenges the conventional understanding of reality, offering a perspective that places consciousness at the heart of all existence. It invites us to rethink the nature of life, death, and the universe itself. One of the most intriguing implications of biocentrism is its redefinition of life and death. In a traditional materialist view, death marks the end of consciousness. When the brain ceases to function, so does the mind. However, biocentrism suggests that consciousness is not confined to the physical body. Since consciousness is fundamental to the fabric of reality, it does not simply disappear when the body dies. Instead, consciousness could continue in some form, independent of the physical body. This idea aligns with certain spiritual and philosophical traditions that view consciousness as eternal, suggesting that life and death are not absolute states, but part of a continuous process. This perspective also challenges the way we perceive time. If consciousness is not bound by the physical brain, then time, as we experience it, might also be an illusion. In the biocentric view, time is not a linear progression from past to future, but a construct created by consciousness. This means that the past, present, and future might all exist simultaneously, with our perception of time being merely a way for consciousness to organize experiences. This concept resonates with the theory of relativity, where time is relative and can vary depending on the observer's perspective. Another significant philosophical implication of biocentrism is the idea that the universe is participatory. According to this theory, the universe does not exist as a fully formed entity, independent of observers. Rather, it is shaped and brought into existence by the act of observation. This participatory aspect of the universe suggests that reality is not a static, objective truth, but is instead fluid and dynamic, influenced by the consciousness of the beings that perceive it. This challenges the traditional view of an objective reality that exists independently of life and consciousness. Biocentrism also prompts us to reconsider the nature of existence itself. If consciousness is the foundation of reality, then what we perceive as the physical world might be more like a virtual reality, an experience generated by consciousness rather than a fixed material structure. This idea has parallels with various philosophical and spiritual traditions, such as the concept of Maya in Hinduism, where the physical world is seen as an illusion. It also resonates with modern theories like the simulation hypothesis, which suggests that our reality could be a sophisticated simulation. However, biocentrism is not without its critics. One of the main challenges to this theory is its departure from the materialist framework that has been the foundation of scientific inquiry for centuries. Critics argue that biocentrism lacks empirical evidence and that it relies too heavily on philosophical speculation. They point out that while quantum mechanics does suggest a link between observation and reality, extending this to claim that consciousness creates the universe is a significant leap that has yet to be substantiated by scientific research. Another criticism is that biocentrism could be seen as anthropocentric, placing human consciousness at the center of the universe. While the theory posits that all life is central to the universe's existence, the focus on consciousness can be interpreted as elevating human experience above all else. Critics argue that this perspective might ignore the vast complexity of the universe and the possibility that life and consciousness, as we understand them, are just small parts of a much larger, incomprehensible reality. Despite these criticisms, biocentrism continues to intrigue and inspire those who are dissatisfied with the limitations of the materialist worldview. It offers a vision of the universe that is deeply interconnected, where life and consciousness are not mere accidents of evolution, but are fundamental to the very structure of reality. This perspective invites us to explore the universe not just as a collection of matter and energy, but as a living, conscious entity that we are intimately a part of. As we explore the cultural and ethical implications of biocentrism, we'll see how this theory influences our views on the environment, spirituality, and the meaning of life. Biocentrism challenges us to think deeply about our relationship with the universe and the role of consciousness in shaping reality. Biocentrism extends beyond scientific and philosophical realms, influencing our cultural, ethical, and spiritual perspectives. By placing life and consciousness at the center of existence, biocentrism offers a transformative way of understanding our relationship with the universe, nature, and each other. One of the most profound cultural impacts of biocentrism is its potential to reshape our views on the environment. Traditional materialist perspectives often view nature as a collection of resources to be exploited for human benefit. In contrast, biocentrism encourages a more holistic approach where the natural world is seen as an integral part of a conscious, interconnected universe. This perspective suggests that every living being plays a crucial role in shaping reality, and that the well-being of the planet is directly linked to the well-being of all life forms. By recognizing the intrinsic value of all life, biocentrism promotes a more ethical and sustainable approach to environmental stewardship. This shift in perspective also has significant ethical implications. If life and consciousness are fundamental to the universe, then every form of life possesses an inherent value that demands respect and care. This challenges us to reconsider how we interact with other living beings, from animals to plants to entire ecosystems. Biocentrism suggests that harming the environment or other life forms is not just a moral failing, but a disruption of the very fabric of reality. This perspective encourages us to adopt more compassionate and responsible behaviors, recognizing our interconnectedness with all life. Biocentrism also resonates with many spiritual and religious traditions that emphasize the unity of all existence. By suggesting that consciousness is the foundation of reality, biocentrism aligns with concepts found in Eastern philosophies, such as the idea of the interconnectedness of all things in Buddhism, or the concept of Brahman in Hinduism, which views the universe as a manifestation of a singular, universal consciousness. These parallels offer a bridge between scientific and spiritual worldviews, suggesting that modern science and ancient wisdom might be converging on a deeper understanding of reality. In addition to its spiritual resonance, biocentrism challenges the notion of human exceptionalism. By proposing that all life is central to the universe, biocentrism implies that humans are not inherently superior to other forms of life. This challenges the anthropocentric view that has dominated much of Western thought, encouraging a more egalitarian approach to our relationship with other species and the planet. This perspective could inspire new ethical frameworks that prioritize the well-being of all life forms rather than placing human interests above all else. Furthermore, biocentrism offers a new way of thinking about the meaning of life. In a materialist worldview, meaning is often seen as something humans create within an indifferent universe. However, biocentrism suggests that meaning is not an artificial construct, but an inherent aspect of a conscious universe. This perspective offers a more optimistic view of existence, where life is not a random accident, but a fundamental part of the universe's structure. This can provide a deeper sense of purpose and connection as we recognize that our lives are integral to the ongoing creation of reality. The potential future directions of biocentrism are vast and varied. As more researchers and thinkers explore this theory, we might see new developments that further integrate biocentrism with other scientific and philosophical frameworks. For example, advancements in neuroscience could provide more insights into the relationship between consciousness and the physical world, lending empirical support to biocentric ideas. Similarly, as we develop a better understanding of quantum mechanics, we might uncover new evidence that reinforces the central role of consciousness in shaping reality. In the realm of technology, biocentrism could influence the development of artificial intelligence and virtual reality. If consciousness is indeed fundamental to the universe, then creating conscious machines or virtual environments could have profound ethical and philosophical implications. These technologies could allow us to explore new dimensions of consciousness and reality, further expanding our understanding of existence. As we continue to explore these ideas, it's clear that biocentrism offers a bold and transformative vision of the universe. By placing life and consciousness at the heart of reality, biocentrism challenges us to rethink our place in the cosmos and to adopt a more ethical, compassionate, and interconnected approach to life. Whether or not biocentrism ultimately proves to be correct, it provides a powerful framework for exploring the mysteries of existence and our role within it. Predictive processing theory. Imagine waking up in a new city you've never visited before. Everything around you, the architecture, the sounds, even the way people walk, is unfamiliar. At first, you might feel disoriented because your brain lacks a reliable model of this new environment. However, as you begin to explore, your brain builds predictions based on the streets you walk, the shops you see, and the landmarks you pass. If you revisit this city in the future, it will feel far less foreign. Your brain will have developed a mental map, a predictive model, that makes navigating the environment easier. This process of constant updating and learning illustrates the heart of predictive processing theory. To truly appreciate the power of this framework, let's delve deeper into its neurological underpinnings. Predictive processing relies on a brain structure called the Bayesian brain, named after Bayes' theorem, a mathematical formula used to update probabilities based on new evidence. In the context of the brain, this means that predictions are not static guesses, but dynamic calculations that integrate past experiences with incoming sensory data. For example, when you see a blurry figure in the distance, your brain doesn't simply wait for more information. It actively predicts whether that figure is a person, an animal, or just an oddly shaped object. These predictions are constantly refined as you gather more sensory input. Neurons in the brain communicate using a system of hierarchical feedback loops. Higher cortical areas send predictions down to lower areas, while sensory data flows upward. When the sensory input matches the prediction, the system runs smoothly, conserving energy and resources. But when there's a mismatch, a prediction error, neurons fire signals back to higher areas, demanding an update. This feedback loop is so fundamental that it operates across all domains of cognition, from simple motor actions to complex decision-making. Consider another example: tasting a dish for the first time. Imagine you're offered a bowl of soup, and based on its aroma, your brain predicts it will be savory. However, when you take a spoonful, it turns out to be sweet. That moment of surprise, where reality clashes with your expectations, is a vivid example of prediction error. Your brain recalibrates its model, updating its understanding of this specific soup's flavor profile. Over time, repeated experiences reduce prediction errors, making the dish familiar and predictable. Predictive processing is also deeply tied to the concept of efficiency. The brain is a notoriously energy-hungry organ, consuming about 20% of the body's energy despite accounting for only 2% of its weight. By relying on predictions, the brain conserves energy by processing only the most critical sensory information. For instance, when walking down a familiar street, your brain doesn't scrutinize every crack in the pavement or every sound in the background. Instead, it predicts the general sensory experience and focuses on any deviations, such as an unexpected pothole or a loud noise. This ability to filter out irrelevant details allows us to navigate complex environments without being overwhelmed. But predictive processing isn't just about reacting to the external world, it's also about creating our internal experiences. For instance, when you recall a memory, your brain isn't retrieving a perfect, static snapshot of the past. Instead, it's reconstructing the memory based on predictions about what likely happened, filling in gaps with plausible details. This is why memories can change over time. They're not fixed records, but dynamic reconstructions influenced by new experiences and expectations. This reconstructive nature of the brain extends to how we perceive time. Predictive processing suggests that our sense of time is not a direct experience of reality, but a prediction based on patterns. When waiting for something exciting, such as a concert or a vacation, time seems to drag because your brain is overactive, predicting the future moment with anticipation. Conversely, during routine or monotonous activities, time seems to fly because your brain predicts the sequence of events so efficiently that it processes them almost automatically. The implications of predictive processing theory go beyond individual perception and touch on social interactions. When you talk to someone, your brain predicts not only what they might say, but also their tone, facial expressions, and body language. These predictions help you respond appropriately and maintain smooth communication. If their reaction deviates from your expectations, for example, they frown when you expected them to smile, it creates a prediction error, prompting you to reconsider what you said or how you interpreted their mood. Interestingly, this predictive mechanism may explain why first impressions are so powerful. When meeting someone for the first time, your brain quickly generates predictions about their personality, based on superficial cues like appearance or tone of voice. These initial predictions create a framework that influences how you interpret their actions and words in the future. Correcting these predictions, if they turn out to be wrong, can require significant effort as the brain tends to cling to its established models. One of the most compelling applications of predictive processing theory is its ability to explain altered states of consciousness, such as those experienced during meditation, psychedelics, or certain neurological conditions. For instance, during meditation, practitioners often focus on disrupting the brain's automatic predictions by observing thoughts and sensations without judgment. This act of letting go of predictions can create a profound sense of presence, where the boundary between self and environment feels blurred. Similarly, psychedelics like LSD and psilocybin appear to reduce the brain's reliance on high-level predictions, allowing sensory input to take precedence. This can result in vivid hallucinations or a sense of seeing the world as it really is, unfiltered by the brain's usual predictive machinery. While these experiences can be disorienting, they also provide insights into how tightly our perceptions are bound by the brain's predictions. Moreover, predictive processing theory offers a framework for understanding cultural and societal influences on perception. From a young age, we're exposed to cultural narratives that shape our brain's predictions about the world. These narratives influence how we interpret events, interact with others, and even perceive beauty or morality. For example, someone raised in a culture that values collectivism might predict harmony and cooperation in social interactions, whereas someone from an individualistic culture might predict competition and self-expression. These predictions, in turn, shape how people behave and perceive each other. On a larger scale, the predictive brain could even explain phenomena like confirmation bias, the tendency to seek out information that aligns with our existing beliefs while ignoring contradictory evidence. From a predictive processing perspective, this bias occurs because the brain prioritizes predictions that minimize prediction error. Challenging these predictions requires more cognitive effort and resources, making it easier to stick with what feels familiar and consistent. To understand just how pervasive predictions are, let's revisit the example of walking into a coffee shop. While your brain predicts the smell of coffee and the sight of a barista, it's also predicting subtler aspects, like the social norms you're expected to follow. You anticipate saying thank you after receiving your coffee or waiting patiently in line. These predictions, though rarely noticed, create the smooth flow of social life. When someone violates these norms, perhaps by cutting in line, your brain registers a prediction error, often triggering emotions like annoyance or confusion. This seamless integration of sensory, emotional, and social predictions is a testament to the brain's complexity. Yet it's also a reminder that our experience of reality is never direct. Everything we perceive, feel, or think is filtered through layers of predictions shaped by our past experiences, current context, and future expectations. In a way, predictive processing theory challenges the notion of objective reality. It suggests that what we call reality is a collaborative effort between the external world and the brain's internal model. This doesn't mean that reality is purely subjective, but rather that our access to it is always mediated by prediction. Ultimately, predictive processing theory provides a profound lens through which to understand consciousness. It reveals the brain not as a passive observer, but as an active participant, constantly shaping and reshaping our experience of the world. From catching a ball to interpreting a friend's smile, from recalling a memory to imagining the future, the brain's predictions are the invisible threads that weave the fabric of our lives. And as we continue to explore this theory, we're not only learning about the brain, but also uncovering the intricate mechanisms that define what it means to be human. In this endless dance between prediction and perception, the fog of uncertainty is never fully lifted. But through this fog, our brains navigate, adapt, and thrive, turning the chaos of sensory input into the order of experience, moment by moment, prediction by prediction.